Good morning, students. Today we are going to take up the Lotus Eaters part 5 of the Choric song. Let's take up the text. Lo, in the middle of the wood, the folded leaf is wooed from out the bud, with winds upon the branch, and there grows green and broad and takes no care. Sun is steeped at noon, and in the moon nightly dew fade, and turning yellow falls and floats adown the air. Lo, sweetened with the summer light, the full-juiced apple, waxing over mellow, drops in a silent autumn night. All its allotted length of days, the flower ripens in its place, ripens and fades and falls and hath no toil, fast rooted in the fruitful soil. This choric song is sung by the mariners together. Their song is expressive of their yearning or desire for rest. They give arguments after arguments in favor of a life of rest and calm. To the mariners who have eaten the lotus fruit, all labor, all activity, and all work is hateful, loathsome. They like to lie down in the beautiful natural surrounding and sleep. They agree that all things in nature have rest, and so man should also rest. Why is it that man alone has to work and is ever burdened with cares and worries? The leaf, the flower, and the fruit all grow at one place till they fall and die out. They do not toil at all. Why should man alone work ceaselessly or continuously? The tired sailors are comparing and contrasting their pitiable lot with that of leaf, flower, fruit. The gentle wind blowing over the branch makes the leaf in the bud open out. When opened, the blades of the leaf become green and broad. Without toiling, the leaf opens out and grows green and broad without any forethought or anxiety. The leaf has to make no effect for all this. During the daytime, it is bathed with the sun rays, and in the night, it is washed with dews. At last, the leaf grows pale and falls on the ground and is carried away by the sweeps of wind. The heat of sunlight in autumn and summer helps the formation of sugar in the apple and so sweetens it. The apple becomes juicy. It grows overripe in autumn and in due course of time falls down on the earth. It does not undergo any hard labor in its work. The poet points out the difference between the growth of man and the growth of the flower. It is man's sad lot to toil throughout life from childhood to death. The flower does not have to toil for its growth, development, and decay. Moreover, it has not to roam from place to place like man. The root of the flower is firmly planted in the fertile soil, while man is required to leave his hearth and home and roam about the world in search of food, wealth, and honor. Thus, the tired sailors compare and contrast their pitiable condition with that of leaf, flower, and fruit. These objects of nature do not toil at all. In the course of nature, they are born, they grow, and die without exerting themselves in the least. The sailors say, why should we toil, at least any more? The mariners find justification in nature's examples to live a life of ease and comfort without any toil and without moving from their place of rest and comfort. Now let's take up the next stanza. Hateful is the dark blue sky, vaulted over the dark blue sea. Death is the end of life. Ah, why should life all labor be? Let's alone. Time driveth onward fast, and in a little while our lips are dumb. Let's alone. What is it that will last? All things are taken from us and become portions and partials of the dreadful past. Let's alone. Let's alone. What pleasure can we have to war with evil? Is there any peace in ever climbing up the climbing wave? All things have rest and ripen toward the grave in silence, ripen, fall, and cease. Give us long rest or death, dark death, or dreamful ease. Now, here the sailors, they are urging that those who ate now, they have eaten this lotus fruit and they have become lethargic and they are feeling sleepy. The sailors are no longer want to return to their island home. They sang a choric song. The song is expressive of their desire to rest. They give arguments after arguments in favor of the life of rest. All things in nature have rest. Why is it that man alone has to work? They say that man is the supreme creation of God and therefore he has a greater right to rest than other creatures. The leaf, the flower, and the fruit all grow at one place till they fall and die. They do not toil or move. The sailors ask why man alone should work ceaselessly. For the sailors who have eaten the lotus fruit, all labor, all activity, and all work is hateful. The sight of the dark blue sky, which looks like a dome or an arched roof over the dark blue sea, is hateful to the sailors because of its monotony. They are tired of seeing nothing but the blue sky overhead and the blue sea around them during their long sea voyage. So they hate the very sight of the sea. The sky overcast with dark clouds is hateful to them, for it signifies storm, danger, and hard labor on the high seas. The mariners say that death is the end of life and nothing survives it. So there is no point in spending life in labor and hard work. So they are no longer prepared for another sea voyage to reach home. They wish to stay on in peace and rest in the lotus land. Ulysses and the sailors who had not eaten the lotus fruit asked the sailors to prepare for return journey to reach home. The sailors emphatically or strongly tell them not to disturb them. They ask them to leave them alone at the lotus land. The sailors argue that nothing lasts for all time. Time is flying fast, and in a little while the two will die, so they should be left on the lotus land to enjoy their short life in peace. The sailors repeat the same idea. They say that all things that they enjoy at present are every moment becoming a dreadful past. They should enjoy peace while it lasts. They say that they cannot derive any pleasure from waging incessant or regular continuous war with evil. It's a most joyless and disheartening task to fight the innumerable kinds of wrongs, injuries, and oppressions from which man suffers. These oppressions continually reappear in different forms. There can be no peace in ever struggling to mount to the crest of rising waves. The very moment they do so, they find themselves hurled off or thrown away by another onrushing waves. Unlike man, all things enjoy rest, and grow to maturity, till at last they die and cease to exist. The mariners pray for long rest, or even death is preference to a life of toil and roaming about. Although death may be dark as night, in the toil and roaming about, Although death may be dark as night, in the alternative there is full of dreams like that enjoyed by opium eaters. Now let's take up the next stanza. How sweet it were, hearing the downward stream, with half shut eyes ever to seem, falling asleep in a half dream, to dream and dream and dream like yonder amber light, which will not leave the mirror bush on the height, to hear each other's whispered speech, eating the lotus day by day, to watch the crisping ripples on the beach, and tender curving lines of creamy spray, to lend our hearts and spirits wholly to the influence of mild minded melancholy, to muse and brood and live again in memory with those old faces of our infancy, heaped over with a mound of grass, two handfuls of white dust, shut in an urn of brass. In this stanza, the tired, war weary, and storm tossed the sailors sing their wish to fall into a gentle, half dreamy sleep, during which they will go on hearing the murmuring sound of the flowing stream and the softly uttered voices of their companions. They wish to go on eating the lotus every day and watch the ripples breaking on the seashore. All the time they wish to give themselves up entirely to melancholy, brooding and recalling to memory the old familiar faces of people whom they loved in childhood, but who are, alas, dead or gone, their bodies either buried in graves or reduced to ashes, which are preserved in brass urns. That's all for today, and have a nice day. Thank you very much.